It was that pivotal moment, right when all of that happened with the corporate job. I said, if it's not for me, like show me, remove it, yank it away, and then I'll do whatever it takes to make this what it needs to be. And I think it was like 3 weeks later, I got laid off.
Welcome to the High Performance Interviews. Today I have with me Zhanna Blazej, founder of the Business Builder Society, all the way from Dallas, Texas. Welcome, Zhanna.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, just a little bit about you before I ask our first question. Zhanna is a fractional COO, business strategist, and local chapter leader for the Advanced Innovation Society, a high-level strategic collaboration network of founders with a passion for automation and almost 20 years of experience. She helps business owners 10 times their productivity, saving over 10 hours a week and 3 to 4 timesing their revenue in 90 days. Zhanna, that all sounds absolutely amazing. So we're going to start right at the beginning. And do you come from this kind of a background? What were your parents doing? Is it something that you were born into? Give us a little bit more about that.
Well, thank you, Lucy, for that amazing introduction. Honored truly to hear you say those words. I hear my bio and I'm like, have I really done that? Is that really who I am? And it's such a perfect question to start this interview with, because my story doesn't start with entrepreneurship or forward moving progression with parents that pushed me and supported me and saw this big vision for me. I actually came from a much different experience. I was born in the Ukraine. My family and I actually fled the Ukraine because it was a really tough time in the Ukraine at that time. To give you some perspective, my dad had left first, and then he had to send for my mother and I. And this was after the Stalin regime where everything was seized. So everything was taken away. And it's important for people to know this part of the story because it really, the mindset of fear, of scarcity, of the government being out to get you was very prevalent in my upbringing. That money is hard to come by, that you will have to work for everything, blood, sweat, and tears, and you will still be taken advantage of. So that is the polar opposite of being raised from an entrepreneurial background. So everything that I have done in my life has come because there was a pivotal moment in my early years where I said, it stops with me. It
Ah,
stops with my generation.
a decision.
It was a decision
Mm.
that I didn't have to believe. Like there was an inherent deep part of me that just knew that what I was being taught and how I was being raised was not the truth, that there was a better way. And I said, it's going to stop with me. I'm going to see my way out of this. I don't have to believe in their stories. I don't have to believe that this is how life gets to be. I can work hard and I can put myself to the test, and somehow, some way, it's going to work out. Like no one had to teach me that. It wasn't instilled in me. It was as if I was born with that instilled from the beginning.
That is so cool because so many people carry that belief with them, that generational belief, and they don't even
Mm.
know it's there. So that is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I still had to do the work to debunk, because unconsciously, even though I had the deep inherent knowing, I still was carrying all of those unconsciously within me.
so what was the work you did? That was a question that came up when you said that.
Yeah. So, I remember it was in my early 20s, right around the time that I was going to school. And I just like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be something that I'm missing. This can't be life. And I remember just having a moment of clarity saying, okay, yes, life was hard for them. Does it have to be hard for me? I'm ready to see my way out of this. And that decision, to me, I understand that it's not just me in life. I always felt like there was an omnipresent force governing everything. And there were these little breadcrumbs. And if I paid it close enough attention, that I'd always get led to the next right thing for me. And it was one in-person live event that I attended. It was the right employer who had this incredible mentor that saw something in me that sparked my ability to see something in myself that then helped me nurture skills of where I'm now a fractional COO. I started in sales and customer service that then led into observing around me what wasn't working in my environment. And this is really important for what we're going to get into, but then seeing, okay, this isn't working. The people that are working here aren't stepping in to facilitate what needs to happen for us to actually grow as a company. I'm going to just take on that role. And then because I stepped into the ownership and embodiment of that role, I then was seen as someone that can take on that role and got the raise, got the promotion, got the opportunity. And that's something that I think is really important to speak to when we think of people that are high achievers. We don't just wait for luck or opportunity, we create it.
Yes. Yes. You don't wait to be asked. You see the opportunity and you do the thing, right?
Exactly.
That's fantastic. So I think another question that I have for you is when you see yourself as a high performer, which obviously you are as well, so not just saying you, but one sees himself as a high performer, how would you show up, say, in the face of adversity as different to somebody who isn't so much that kind of a person?
Yeah. Yeah, the thing that I've noted within myself and I've seen with other high performers is there is a character of resilience and stepping into what may be uncomfortable or may be difficult despite feeling uncomfortable. So what I mean by that is there's a reel that I really liked that Layla Hermosi actually shared a story of when she and her husband were building their business, and it's the hardest. That first million is everybody says it's the hardest because you will face every opportunity to stop will be presented to you with growing to that phase.
Yeah.
It's the most intense personal development journey, in my opinion, to start your own business. No one believes in you. Everybody thinks you're crazy. Everything seems to not work. You make so many mistakes and bad decisions. But because there's an inherent character of decision, decisiveness, and knowing that there is no other way, I'm going to see this through. That's something that I've seen is what makes someone truly a high performer. They don't allow their environment to dictate how they show up. And she said this, I would go into the bathroom, take my time to myself, and I would cry. I would just let go. And that's happened to me countless times. I was just sharing this with Lucy right before the interview is I had that moment the other day. I have a toddler. I have my business. I have my clients that rely on me, and I could not get him down. It was one of the hardest days emotionally for me. And I remember being in the bed and I just crying. And that's what I do. I don't resist it. I have to lean into it. I have to let myself feel. And every single time on the other side of a release, I have greater clarity and I'm much more efficient and effective with my ability to get things done. So that's what I see, what I think of someone that is high performing. They are not willing to allow the hardship and the struggle to break them. And in fact, they use it to chisel and build resilience.
Yeah. And the struggle has to be gone through. And I think
Absolutely.
understanding that part of getting into being that high performer, getting into the state of flow even, and being able to push
Yes.
through that is something that people don't understand. It's like, well, maybe because this is so hard, someone's trying to tell me I shouldn't do it. It's like, no, you have to go through the struggle. That's a good thing to go through. And when people
Yes.
go, oh, really? That the struggle is okay to go through. It's like, yes, because the other side of the struggle, you share for you, what was the other side of a struggle like that?
Yeah, for me, the other side of the struggle is greater clarity, greater creativity, greater success, ease of, some people would call it like all of a sudden you are lucky, but no, I'm not lucky. Yes, I'm fortunate, but I'm willing to do the hard work that then appears to the outside world as, oh, luck.
Yes.
It's taking the action when I don't feel like it. It's getting up. I was really tired today. I told my husband, there are some days I feel like I got hit by a truck when I wake up in the morning. And it's not because I'm hungover. I've stopped drinking a very long time ago. But that's what this journey does to you. And I just was like, no, I have an incredible opportunity to have a powerful conversation today. So I'm going to get ready. I'm going to get my hair done. I'm going to do all my meetings leading up to this interview. And it's going to be exactly what it needs to be, because I don't allow my emotional and mental state to dictate how I show up in the world.
Mm. And actually, when you do show up in that way that you just described and that you're here, everything else just floats away. That
Yeah,
feeling of
exactly.
tiredness, because I had the
I don't feel
same.
tired.
I had the same this morning. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. But when you start to do what you know you love and what you're here to do, it just disappears into nothingness.
Mm, yes,
And
yes.
being here
Mm,
is just the right thing, and it's flowing because we both push through that struggle.
100%. And the word discernment just came into my mind, because that's another characteristic of someone that's a high performing and just has a higher level of awareness, self-awareness and awareness of what's going on in the world. Is I wake up, I'm tired. I could have the discernment to say, oh, that means I'm not supposed to do this, which usually that's cognitive dissonance, it's resistance, it's the ego trying to keep us safe. Those are all the things. I just try not to talk about them, because people get stuck into the why they're not doing it, instead of just saying, it doesn't matter. Is this decision going to move me closer or farther from where I'm seeking to go, my vision?
Mm.
And if it's going to move me closer, then I'm going to ignore all the nonsense, all the noise in my head, or again, Layla, great, the spam that's going on in my brain that day.
I
And
like
I'm
that.
just going to do the thing. I love it. She's like, you wait, oh, there's a lot of spam today. There's some days she wakes up and there's all this noise, all these like non-serving thoughts. They're just unproductive thoughts. She's like, okay, it is what it is. Do the thing.
Yeah, I think, is it Jim Quick that calls them ants, automatic negative thoughts?
I've never heard of that, but that's a very, very good way of looking at them. And that's all they are. If we can have the discernment just to see that they are just that, they're going to come and go, and we don't have to respond to them. We can engage outside of them. And then the whole day changes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
with one choice.
Yes. And literally, actually, and I totally agree with that. If you actually literally see them as ants, those automatic negative thoughts as ants, you can literally just stamp on them, right? And
Love.
under your feet, do a little squiggle and crush those ants, and then just move
Yes,
into the day, because you know that that decision is going to move the needle in the right direction.
exactly.
Fabulous. Okay. I would love to ask you, what has been a pivotal moment for you in your business? Has there been
Mm.
something that you could really pinpoint and go, this is what I was doing, this happened, and then
Mm.
everything changed?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I'd like to speak on is what it took for me to leave corporate and start a business, start my business that had been simmering for some time, but I just wasn't ready to take the leap. And I remember distinctly working for an organization, and I'd always been in some sort of management operational role. And you have to hold people accountable. Sometimes they don't show up, sometimes they're late. There are things that happen. There's a human element to everything. And it's important. It's important to have accountability conversations. However, I always found, for whatever reason, when a company would grow big enough, they would lose the ability to remember that the only reason that we build success from the get-go is the human element. If there is no human element, you're not going to have amazing, exceptional customer service. You're not going to have people buy into the product, because there has to be that exchange. And it became very rigid. And did you write her up? Did you do the goal was write her up at 3 times, and then the last time they're out. And it just never felt right with me, because I always looked at each and every person as a whole being.
Mm.
And this person isn't just in my life, in my awareness, because I'm managing them within this company. They have an entire life, an entire destiny, an entire opportunity to grow and evolve. And they're here, and I was granted this opportunity to serve them in some way. So that's how I treated every single person, regardless of where I worked. And I remember this young lady, I had hired her on, brought her on. She was exceptional. She did a great job. And something happened along the way, and she started to show up late, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was. It wasn't in her character. Didn't make sense to me. Higher up said, do the write-ups. And if it doesn't get better, you got to let her go. I said, no problem. I had to do what I had to do. I sat her down. I told her, I said, this is part of what we have to do. So I'm going to have this conversation with you. I need you to sign this. And then once she did, I moved it off to the side. Okay, so now that that's done, what's happening?
Yeah.
This isn't who you are. This is not in your character. But she wouldn't be the one that would approach me to tell me what was wrong. She would just grin and bear it and deal with life. And she ended up confiding in me that she was experiencing some hardship with her partner and him being able to find a job. He had just moved to be with her from a different state, and it was heavy.
Yeah.
And they were sharing a car, and it was very difficult for her. And she was carrying the burden of the household. And I asked her a couple of questions. I got to know who he was, what he did. And I said, okay, give me 5 minutes. I left the room and I made a phone call to a good friend of mine who I knew was in the business that her partner was a specialist in. This was he was the guy if you needed this done. And he said, actually, this sounds perfect. Let me make a couple phone calls. I'll take care of it. 2 months later, not only did he have a position with them, he had taken over as area director.
Oh
He was
my
that good at
goodness.
what he did. Yes. And there was a reason that it would have been difficult for him to find a job, but this one conversation opened up a completely different life for them. Because I didn't choose to say, I'm just going to come in and do my job. I'm going to clock in and clock out, and I don't care about the person that's been sacrificing their time and energy to work under me in this business. And that was the moment where I said, oh my goodness, had I just done what I had to do with all this red tape, and I hadn't taken the time to really assess what was going on with the person that was sitting in front of me, where could her life have been? I mean, they have a baby now, they're doing so well. She's so happy and in business for herself, and he's thriving and being able to provide as the head of the household. And I was like, that's when I knew I had to do what I did forever without the red tape. And that would require me to take that leap and start a business of my own.
Oh, wow. What an absolute moment that was.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you did, as you've just explained, you didn't start as an entrepreneur. Your vision wasn't to be an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur. Your vision was, what was your vision to start with? Let's go from there because it clearly changed.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I first started working in the corporate world, and I was in health and wellness. I was in sales, customer service, trying to find myself. I was young, I was in my 20s. I had no vision. I was just kind of like tumbleweeding through life, having a great time, party, all the things. But deep down, I always wanted to be of service. I see people and I would want to serve them, support them, help bring out the best in them. And that's how I became a next level leadership development specialist within my position in operations at this company. And that's just always who I'd been. I left them and then I did this at this other place, as you just saw the story. And so inherently, I just love being able to take the genius that is inside somebody, being able to be a frame for them to extract it and then be able to implement it out into the world. And so people are like, we should go be a life coach. And I had no idea. So my vision was, I know I'm going to be able to serve more people. And what I did is I became a life coach because that's like the thing that everybody tells you to do. And it evolved into what it is now. It was business strategy because people came to me for life coaching, but they all wanted to make more money and to grow their businesses. So there was that theme. And so I said, okay, so my vision is I want to help the most people in my lifetime to be able to achieve what's been brewing inside of them, like it had been brewing inside of me.
Mm.
And that's changed the way it looks. You know, in the beginning, when you're life coaching, you're thinking of like mindset, personal development, all those things. Those are the foundations, is what I found. When I fully stepped into what I love to do in business, which I had achieved time and time again at every job that I'd ever had, it was to help streamline operations and extract the genius within the highest individual in the company, because it all comes from the top down. Like I had shared the story, I looked around, I saw what wasn't working, I saw what could make it better, I implemented it, and I got the promotion. I now do that within other people's organizations as a strategist, as a fractional COO. So my vision has grown and evolved because I've become clearer in what I really love to do and who I truly love to serve, because you
Yes.
can't help everybody. And that was my issue in the beginning. I wanted
Yeah.
to save the world.
Yeah. I was going to say, because we want to help everybody.
Yeah.
But when you understand where I look at it as when you understand where your joy is and you
Yes.
can live in that joy. And that's the thing that lights you up when you talk about it. And strategist and all of the things that you do clearly lights you up. And that's that your brain, everything's
Yes.
starting to fire
Yes.
and the fireworks are
Yes.
going off. It's like, yeah, this is my thing. So
Yes.
that's a transition because, and it's a journey to get there. It's not necessarily, and I'm going to say overnight because a lot of people think, oh, she's just an overnight success. But there's been a journey for you. How many years has
Hmm.
that journey taken,
Oh my
Zhanna?
gosh. Well, I started my business in 2018, but that was after 2 years of leaving corporate, then getting recruited to another position. But this whole time I was in this internal battle that I knew that there was something different for me. And it wasn't until, and again, I said omnipresent force that governs everything. I'd always had this, like, something was always watching out for me. Some people call it God, you can call it the universe. It's God for me. It used to be uncomfortable for me to say that because I'd be worried about what other people think, but it is what it is. That's my truth. And I always understood that no matter what, deep down, I would say, okay, I'm ready to give this up. And it was that pivotal moment, right when all of that happened with the corporate job. I said, if it's not for me, like, show me, remove it, yank it away, and then I'll do whatever it takes to make this what it needs to be. And I think it was like 3 weeks later, I got laid off. Wow.
And that
Surprise,
was the second
surprise.
time, right?
That was the second time. Exactly. So it's an ongoing cycle. And if you're in a position like that, I invite you to get still and ask that question, but be very careful, because if you ask the question and you're truly ready to receive the answer, it could put your life into a tailspin. That's exactly what it did for me, but that tailspin is what redirected me in the right direction.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest gift.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost that saying, rejection is actually redirection. And so you got
Absolutely.
rejected out of your job twice until you realized it's
Twice.
a redirection into actually what you want to do and then building
Mhm.
that. So you've been in business now on your own, did you
So
say?
2018, so
Oh,
5 years officially in business. It's evolved, and that's business. We iterate. If you're not growing, you're going backwards.
mm,
So our offers will get refined and iterated. Our way of explaining who we are, what we do, who we serve will be refined, because you think you love working with the person you're working with now. Every time I get a new client, I'm like, I didn't know it could be this good. I thought it was good with the last one. This is even better because I'm clear. I'm more skilled in what I do, and I'm getting people that are really ready to take bold action. That's the fun part with high level performers.
mm.
That foundation piece is taken care of. I don't have to sit here and coach you through like the emotional and the mindset piece. You're ready to do the thing. That's when big things happen, when we take action.
Yeah. And it's the action takers that are the money makers. And they're the ones,
Yes.
they are ready to go now. In fact,
Yes,
they're ready to go
exactly.
yesterday, and they just need to be asked the right
Yesterday.
questions and led in the right direction and shown the different strategies.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. So before we head out, Zhanna,
Yeah.
is there anything that's left on your heart that you would like to
Hmm.
share with the audience?
Yes, it's actually come up a few times as you were sharing. And I really want to speak to this because you were talking about vision, and everybody here, if you're a high performer, you're always thinking of what's next for me. And I do want to premise that not from a place of that I'm never going to be satiated what's next, but there's the deeper yearning, there's a deeper knowing that there's something bigger that I haven't unlocked yet. That's what I mean by the next. Because if we seek to just fulfill that, when I get there, I'll be happy. That's not what I'm talking about. That's a completely different experience. Earlier this year, I was at a workshop and we did some visioning exercise, and I was just like, okay, what would be really fun? It would be really great if I could just stand on stages and get paid to speak. That would be really cool. And I was like, okay, whatever. How is that even going to come to pass? But, I understand. I admitted to myself that that would be really fun, because think about it. That would grow impact at a rapid speed.
Yep.
I'm not even talking about the money piece of getting paid, but to stand in front of a room, you can impact, instead of 1 to 20 to 50, you can hundreds of thousands of people. Who knows where the audio and the videos will go? And it just seemed fun, the whole idea of it. And then it wasn't, I think 2 days ago, I had seen someone, I'm part of a speaker group. I'd seen someone post that there was an opportunity to speak locally in Dallas. And I'm like, okay, sure. I messaged them, didn't think anything of it, didn't think I was going to get picked or that I was going to get paid. And they messaged me and they said, this sounds great. What are your prices? And I had that, right? I had that
had you had
moment
it
of,
ready? Had you actually thought about that, written it down?
no, I had not even thought that it would be a paid gig. I was just willing to do it because I just wanted the opportunity. But it reminded me of how powerful it is to admit to yourself what is it that you really want and decide that you're going to do whatever it takes, not from a place of force, but when the moment and the opportunity comes, you're going to take that next step, follow that breadcrumb and grab the opportunity. And man, I just was like, this is my second podcast interview this week. I just launched my new Facebook group and I've had some incredible opportunities bringing in speakers. So again, I'm on a live stage in a way. And I don't know where that's going to go, but I know I'm creating something really special there.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to leave it there. But if you take a moment and think about, okay, you're having fun right now, you're loving life. There are certain things you probably don't love about what you do. If you could remove those things and do something really fun, the thing that you're like, that's not going to happen. That I want you to jot down what that thing is and just let it go and forget about it. Put it in one of those time capsules and then see where you are a year from now because you let yourself go there.
Yeah, I love that. And having like a little box, but like you say, a time
Yes.
capsule that you just put it inside, put the lid on, put it to one side,
Yes.
and then check it out later. It's a bit like a vision board, but
Exactly.
it's written down.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Mm. Oh, that's fantastic. I love that so much. I've enjoyed this so much, Zhanna. Thank you so much for coming on. There will
Thank you so
be
much.
there will be another video showing up on screen, so I'm going to see you over there. And thank you so much for listening in. If you would like to find out more about Zhanna, how she works, everything is going to be in the description box below, so do take a look there. Zhanna, where is the best place to find you, just in case someone is not looking at the description?
Yeah, I hang out mostly everywhere you're going to find me. You're going to find me at Zhanna Blazej. So that's either it's on Instagram, that's where I grew most of my business in the beginning, Facebook, and then now more so in LinkedIn as well. But if you would love to be part of an incredible online community, it's a free community. You can just type thebusinessbuildercommunity.com to come and hear amazing speakers. Lucy's going to be one of them. We haven't discussed one yet, but that's something that's coming. And that's a place where you can come to contribute, to connect, and to collaborate.
Fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. Wishing everybody an awesome day, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.